Welcome to another live airing of Premier Sports Talk. I am the host, Randy Prentice. And what I've been liking to do during this football season is I like to call it the Shedeur Chronicles. And today, on this Tuesday, December the 8th, it was a crazy day up in Cleveland, y'all. A crazy day. So, like I'm going to represent my man, ShedeurSanders, like I always been doing. I'm going to tell you what the latest scoop is up in Cleveland. But remember, ShedeurSanders already told us up in Cleveland that people want to see him fail, but he will not fail. And why does he feel that way? Because he knows God is on his side and that no arrows of principality will be able to stop the purpose that God has placed in him, y'all. I'll be with you in a second. I'm trying to find something. Hope you enjoy this track, created by Double P, Prentice Premier. Thank you all for tapping in and blessing the channel.
Sharp tongues fly, but I'm armored in light. Face my bulletproof, prayers my steel. Angels in formation, if the backup's real. Darts bounce off, no scars, no pain. Walk through fire, not a mark, no stain. This cruel world, I'm built to resist. Haters came down with the heavens assist.
Pause that right there. Arrows can't stop them. Haters gonna hate. The world can't dim the light. What God has created. That's my track. Arrows can't stop me. I got ShedeurSanders in mind when I drop that. So this segment, I'm going to give you from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Sean King, former NFL quarterback in the NFL, has some opinions on ShedeurSanders and how he balled out against the Titans. I got Andrew Siliani with Yahoo Sports, also with the Cleveland Daily News up there. Going to drop his comments in the segment. I have NFL Hall of Famer Kurt Warner and Super Bowl winner. I have Tony Rizzo. That's my man. He is one of the biggest ShedeurSanders supporters. If you ain't been tapping into him on YouTube, he has two shows. One that comes on at 8 o'clock in the morning. You just put in the search bar Tony Rizzo show. That comes on at 8 o'clock Monday through Fridays. And then we have the ESPN Cleveland. That's who he works for, ESPN Cleveland. He does not allow that ESPN writer for the Cleveland Browns, Tony Grossi, speak bad about Shedeur. And I think I even got a little segment in here that we're going to listen to where Grossi's flipping and now praising Shedeur. My, how the narrative changes. But even now that ShedeurSanders has been named the #1 quarterback for the rest of the season, some people in Cleveland is trying to spin the narrative that the reason why ShedeurSanders did not start earlier because he wasn't putting in the work. How ridiculous is that, y'all? How ridiculous is that? That he wasn't putting in the work? That is some BS. All we've seen is clips whenever ShedeurSanders couldn't get the proper reps in optional training camp, in training camp, not being able to get reps, throwing to equipment people, throwing over to assistant coaches. Couldn't get no time throwing to the first team players or the second team players. But then they want to know why it took them this moment, this past weekend, how to show his glory that God placed in him. Shedeur said, it's okay that they had him buried in the depth chart, but he said that just gave him time to cook, time for him to cook and be able to do what he had to do whenever his time was called. And we have seen, lo and behold, our eyes have seen the glory that was placed in him, where he balled out, even though he lost against the Tennessee Titans. Victory was his. He broke NFL history for the franchise for the Cleveland Browns. 364 yards passing, 4 TDs, 4 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns and a loss. 3 were passing and 1 he ran in. They said he didn't have a strong arm. He didn't have any elite, he didn't have an elite arm, but he had accuracy. He did throw with extreme accuracy, and we saw that in that game against the Titans. We saw it, y'all. Our eyes can't deceive us. Our eyes cannot deceive what the Most High put in him. So let me get to this first little thing here.
The QB tracker says so. Nobody could see that. Does that bother you?
This is Tony Rizzo.
Professional football organization could not identify the best quarterback in their own building. Yes. And Rizzo, we asked a Survey Wednesday question roughly around the beginning of the year. And we asked biggest concern headed into the season. And I said agendas. And
I'll pause right there. This is the Tony Rizzo Show. It's on YouTube and he's on the radio, but he's been working with ESPN. He's been doing radio for 40 years. This man knows football. He's a die-hard, bleed orange and brown Cleveland Browns fan. But he will not allow anybody to slander ShedeurSanders, y'all. And they're exposing the Cleveland Browns and the agendas of the beat writers. They just say it right here. The agenda that they were spitting out against, I'm using the word spit because it's nasty, the nasty narrative that they was trying to devalue ShedeurSanders, trying to make it like he wasn't worthy to be on the NFL field, that they buried him down all the way to they want to lie. They lied and said, Kevin Stefanski came out and lied and said that it was going to be a quarterback battle. Made the best man win when they had 4 quarterbacks there, when they had Joe Flacco, when they had Kenny Pickett, when they had Dylan Gabriel. All of them had the opportunity to be on the field before ShedeurSanders. But there's a saying that the first will be last and the last will be first. But let me finish this on this agenda, y'all. Let me finish this.
4 agendas, and only now have we really seen it play out that the agenda for whether it be Flacco, whether it be Pickett, whether it be Gabriel, whoever wanted to be smarter and right ended up being wrong.
Key thing there. All those people that spun that narrative agenda against ShedeurSanders, we just heard that's Chris. That's one of Tony Rizzo's sidekicks that speaks on the Tony Rizzo Show and on ESPN Cleveland. He said all that negative agenda that was spun on ShedeurSanders it's all been proven wrong. Shedeur said he ain't out to prove people wrong. He took the high road and said he's here to prove himself right. You hear what I said? Y'all got to listen to how ShedeurSanders speak, y'all. The media always try to bait ShedeurSanders to say something negative up in Cleveland, but he spins it around. What the enemy means to harm, he always turns it out for the greater good for his chosen. And ShedeurSanders already told us that for Cleveland Browns and those fans up there in the community, that he's the one that they've been looking for to change the culture around and turn the Cleveland Browns into a winning organization. If y'all agree or disagree, put it in the chat for me. Drop your comments. Let me know how you feel. I don't care when you tap in, let me make sure this chat is open. I don't care when you tap in, when you watch this. I would love for you to drop your comments, whether you agree or disagree. The Are you happy that ShedeurSanders has now been named QB1 for the rest of the year? Is there anybody that's still Dillon Gabriel supporters, even though ShedeurSanders has balled out and shown that he has, he's a better quarterback than Dillon Gabriel, but there may be some ShedeurSanders supporters here, Drop your opinions, good, bad, or indifferent. All are welcome. All are welcome, y'all. Let's see the next one here.
This Nancy wanted any part of Shedeur. And Tony wrote today, and I have to ask him, I don't know where he got this or whether he's speculating. He basically tried to say today that Shedeur wasn't putting in the work early on, and that's what turned people off in the building. I have no idea if that's the case. But I know this, when you're fourth string and they're telling you they're going to redshirt you, I mean, that's, as a young person, which Shedeur is, that's kind of tough to deal with. I'm not saying I'd have went into into a closet somewhere and turned everybody off, but it's really hard to stay engaged when people don't believe in you in the building.
Y'all hear what he
Hey,
said?
listen to you. I think that, he's earning his stripes and he's getting better.
This is Stephen A. This is Stephen A.
I don't want him in Cleveland
This is
because
the
I don't
day.
think that the coach there wants him there. I mean, there's no excuse. I mean, I understand that the first 2-point conversion, he fumbled the snap. The second one, you're going to take him out of the game for some wildcat with Quentin Judkins or whatever? What the hell is that about? You know what? You have nothing to lose. Your goal is to do everything that you can to find out what this kid is made of in every situation imaginable because you're not going anywhere this year. The season is over. Why would you take him out? For what? You just said for what? Especially when you were looking to potentially throw the football. You want your quarterback in there. A guy that's passed over 300 yards in the game, for crying out loud. I don't know what the hell Kevin Stefanski is doing. This is not the first time he's done this with this kid. And it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I think that ShedeurSanders has the potential to really, really thrive in the National Football League. I don't believe it should be in Cleveland. I think the Browns, under the stewardship of Kevin Stefanski, who's a 2-time coach of the year. Nobody here is questioning the man's coaching acumen. I'm simply saying it's because of that coaching acumen that we rely upon that is so inexplicable to see how he's treated ShedeurSanders.
That's true.
First you throw him in the game, you don't give him any reps whatsoever. Nothing to prepare him for when you throw him, when he had to come into the game as a starter. And then finally you hesitate to name him a QB1. It's like pulling teeth to do that. Then you're pulling them out for 2-point conversions when you don't have anybody else to throw the damn football. It makes no sense what's going on with Kevin Stefanski. If I'm ShedeurSanders, leave that man in there, the QB1, for the rest of the season, like they announced, they finally announced. Let him showcase what he brings to the table and have no hesitation whatsoever to be up out of there because Cleveland Browns, courtesy of the trade with Jacksonville for Travis Hunter, draft their trade. They got 2 first-round picks coming up in this draft. We all know that they're going to be looking for a quarterback. If I'm ShedeurSanders, I want him out of there quick, fast, and in a hurry. That's not the scenario.
Y'all hear that? Now, to remind you, today is Tuesday, December 8th. So I'm dropping the hot scoop on what's being said today on this day, even after ShedeurSanders has been named QB1 for the rest of the year. They got to play the Bears. They got to play the Bills. They got to play my Steelers. And they got to play the Cincinnati Bengals. But we got people representing ShedeurSanders. So all the Shedeur Nation faithful, if you got led to this channel, it ain't by mistake. I represent 12 24/7. From sunrise to sunset. I support the Sanders family. But the CU aunties and the CU uncles and all the Cleveland fans are welcome no matter where you're coming from the east, from the west, from the north to the south. Whoever, support ShedeurSanders. Please drop your comments in if you come across this episode here. Tony Grossi, he don't take no mess up there in Cleveland. He ain't afraid to clap back at the Cleveland Browns organization. But I want to thank you for all that have already subscribed to Premier Sports Talk. I am the host, the face behind the short feeds and the live video posts where you just hear my voice. I'm Randy Prentice, Double P Premier, Prentice Premier. I'm the host of the show. And I just want to thank each and every one of you supporting the channel. We're on the path to almost 4,000 subscribers. I'm just a small channel here. We just started on July the 4th, but God has been doing exceedingly abundantly. Currently at 3,400 and something subscribers, almost about to hit 4,000 subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed, be a blessing and watch you receive a blessing back double fold. Be a blessing. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell for whenever an episode drops or a short feed comes out, that you'll be able to get it immediately. Always drop your comments and leave your opinions. It'll be greatly appreciated because it'll push it out in the YouTube algorithm. The more activity that's seen on the channel, the more the YouTube algorithm pushes it out for more people to see. Let's see who we got next. This is like Russian roulette. I don't know who's coming up next, but we're going to check it out.
Since we live and die with these games just like you do. But the silver lining is that ShedeurSanders played great. Yeah, he threw a pick, and that pick did lead to points, and those points
That's
certainly
Anthony
did factor into the
Siliani,
game.
Yahoo Sports.
But wow, turn on the fourth quarter. Go look at the touchdown to Jerry Jeudy. It's there. You know it's there. I know it's there. They know it's there. The question is, does he keep on taking positive steps every week?
Oh, yeah, God.
And this
God's
week
with
he
him.
did. And on Monday, Kevin Stefanski, when asked by Mary Kay
God
Cabot
already ordered
of
the steps.
Cleveland.com, or the plain dealer, I still say the plain dealer, is Shedeur going to start the rest of the season? Kevin didn't hesitate. He said yes. And obviously he should. And as Kevin said, he is encouraged by his development week in, week out. He's getting better every week. The coaching points you see every week, you see him move up in the pocket instead of running backward. Now, there was a little bit of that. Certainly on Sunday against the Titans. Obviously, there are offensive line issues as well. KT Leviston, Tevin Jenkins, a whole new right side of that offensive line. And at times the protection wasn't there. But at times it was. And even when it wasn't, Shedeur was only sacked twice. He was able to make plays downfield. He was able to make plays with his legs. That is not his forte necessarily. Like, you look at the other quarterback, Cam Ward's got a little bit more juice when it comes to running and escaping and maybe making guys miss in space. But Shedeur's got enough of it, and you saw that. And you saw that 7-yard touchdown to get the Browns to within one score before they went for two. And obviously Shedeur and Luke Whippler couldn't.
I want to stop right there. That is, just so you know, Andrew Siliani. He used to be on the NFL Network. He's now with Yahoo Sports. He's also, he lives up there in Cleveland. He's also the Cleveland Browns NFL analyst that calls all the games up there in the Browns facility. He's straight up. He keeps it real. But the key thing he said that, you know, that Shedeur primarily ain't known for his running capability. But we saw in our Titans game that we saw the power of Shedeur. Jerome Simmons, big time defensive lineman for the Tennessee Titans, already spoke highly of ShedeurSanders after the game, directly after the game, and in the post-game interview up there down in Tennessee when they got their post-game interview when they won the game. He said ShedeurSanders is an NFL quarterback, that he's proven himself to be the leader of that team as far as on the offensive side of the ball and being a quarterback. And if you've seen the play, Simmons he tore ShedeurSanders left. Shedeur had a long sleeve jersey on because it was like 15 degrees up there in that game and slight snow. He ripped his left jersey off. He couldn't bring him down to sack him, and he scored the touchdown. And then after ShedeurSanders threw that dart to Harold Fanning Jr., the tight end, number 44 in the end zone, you know, they was going back and forth talking trash to one another. Shedeur threw his wrist up, but then he quickly turned around and went back to Jerome Simmons and let him know, I'm him. And that's something that Jerome Simmons said, that he appreciated his moxie, his spunk, and his belief in himself. But he said he also had to let Shedeur know that he's just a rookie, because he is the one that did eventually get one sack off of ShedeurSanders. So I just wanted to share that. I apologize for that, y'all. So let's finish what Andrew Siciliano had to say here.
Or exchange there, and that one was DOA, dead on arrival. And by the way, people ask, why didn't the Browns run other than Blake Whiteheart to try to get Cedric Gray going the other way?
You're talking about that 2-point
conversion. What we thought in the moment as well is that it looked as if Gray had been touched down. Kevin pointed that out on Monday. The play was there, but it wasn't a whistle. You got to run.
He's talking about something else. I don't even want to hear nothing talk about that. But again, I'm your host, Randy Prentice. Only got like 3 more short video clips. I just always like to give y'all what's the latest and the greatest, what's the scoop up in Cleveland, Ohio, with the Browns organization. 12, I'm throwing my wrist up. It's finally long overdue, been named QB1. I'm trying to get to Sean King and what he had to say about ShedeurSanders. Let me get there, y'all.
Give us your analysis of Shedeur's performance against the Titans.
Former NFL quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I want to do a macro intro.
Yeah.
And I want to start at the top.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to this particular position, there are a lot of people that cover the league that have platforms, that have different levels of importance, but there's very few people that have actual expertise when it comes to quarterback evaluation.
True.
And this is where I like to separate myself. And if you think about from the very beginning, I said it was egregious that they selected Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. Even if they never took ShedeurSanders, that was egregious.
Egregious.
I said I had a late 1st, early 2nd round grade on Shedeur, which I think is pretty spot on. I think he fell in the draft due to some concerns that maybe were self-inflicted, but I still think anything past the 3rd round was egregious by the National Football League. I think the organization internally has to first of all admit that they made a huge mistake.
They was wrong. Dead wrong.
Huge mistake on drafting. See, sometimes
that alone, Kevin Stefanski should be fired, picking Dylan Gabriel over Shedeur.
I'm sorry, my bad. Like sometimes with your homeboy, you do something that ain't right. Like you gotta go offline to your homeboy, AG Plus, man. My bad, man. Man, you know that ain't me, dog.
That ain't me, dog.
Will you please forgive me?
Will you forgive me?
But our
I made a
relationship
mistake.
be the same moving forward. Sometimes you gotta do that. And I think that's what the Browns are. And I think the way they do that is by saying, you know what? We found our quarterback. Forget the process and how bungled it was for him to get here.
They have their franchise
quarterback. What I said
quarterback.
about ShedeurSanders, he has really, really great functional mobility. Meaning his ability to move in the pocket, he's got good lower body strength. The first defensive player never really gets him down. Now he doesn't have top end acceleration. You know, he don't have top end, speed. He's not a 4.3 guy, but he's extremely functionally mobile, which is enough. He can pick up a 3rd and 6, with his legs. He can get out of the initial, liability and pass protection, by being able to extend the play. Some of the concerns we had about him coming in, pocket awareness, he's been A+.
A+.
You can see he's going out of his way not
He's progressing
to
each game. Each game
he's
he's progressing.
Composed when it's chaotic. His body language, which I've talked about a lot on here, very, very professional. I said that, because of the position, you don't have to do all the antics. What has he done? He's eliminated a lot of the antics. But for the most part, he's eliminated the antics. And I said all this to say this. This is the best version of ShedeurSanders because for the first time in his entire football career, he's felt like he has to prove himself. And moving forward, a lot of times the prime sexuals, they get advice construed as criticism.
That's true.
He has to stay in the same mental space he's in now. He's got to stay in that back against the wall. I'm the underdog. Nobody believes in me. Every down, I got to prove that I belong in this league because that's where he is. That's where Tyler Shook is. That's where Cam Ward is. That's where Jackson Dart is. Like, think back to last year. Anthony Richardson had stretches.
So I don't need to go no more than that. That was Sean King, former NFL quarterback. I primarily know him from being a quarterback with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had a decent QB career. But he spits it like it is. He speak it like it is. He keeps a buck, tells the whole truth, nothing truth, and nothing. And the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me from the Most High. He tells the truth as it is, y'all. And he said that Shedeur had to keep the mentality of his back's up against the wall. He got to continue to prove himself right. And then even Shedeur said there's a lot of feeds going out on social media, the interaction that Cam Ward and Shedeur had after the game. Initially, Cam Ward in the jersey review before the season started, Cam Ward had asked ShedeurSanders, the #1 draft pick in NFL, was asking ShedeurSanders, who was the 5th round, 144th pick, Cam Ward, because they are very close. They have a brotherhood. Cam Ward asked for Shedeur's jersey then, and then Shedeur jokingly told Cam Ward in the NFL jersey review that he couldn't give him his jersey because he already took a major loss with the finances with dropping all the way down in the draft. And then in their first head-to-head meeting with ShedeurSanders, outplayed Cam Ward. And even though Cam Ward won the game, he didn't ask, he asked ShedeurSanders again, will you sign your jersey for me and give it to me? So they met afterwards down by the locker room. I don't know if you all seen that video clip in the feeds. Shedeur signed the jersey. But what's crazy that came out of Cam Ward's mouth is, Well Off Media did the back behind the scenes video post. So y'all need to check that out. Cam Ward said that he was going to, after Shedeur signed the jersey for him, that he was going to put it on eBay out for sale. What's going on with all that money Cam Ward got? He want to sell a ShedeurSanders jersey on eBay. The mentality of our people, just crazy. Yeah, he going to get some money for it, but still, all that money Cam Ward got, I think he had a $50 million contract. ShedeurSanders fell all the way down to the 5th round, 144th pick. He only got $4.6 million. That's for the entire 4 years. I'm sure he has some incentives in there, which I already know he's already broken. ShedeurSanders in that game, he is the only rookie quarterback to throw over 50 yards in every game since Brett Favre, since the year 2000. They've already dropped that stat all over the place. Already dropped that stat. He's already broke franchise history. First Brown quarterback to get 4 touchdowns, throw over 4 touchdowns in a game. Well, he tied with Baker Mayfield. I apologize when Baker Mayfield was there. But 3 touchdowns passing, 1 running. He's already ShedeurSanders. If you don't know, you're about to know. He is the #1 search name for an athlete in the year 2025. He already has, first he had the #1 NFL jersey as a rookie. Now he has the #1 jersey overall. ShedeurSanders makes more money on his outside endorsements than what he made for the Cleveland Browns. And he told the beat reporters up there, he's playing for the love of the game. He simply loves the opportunity that he has to being able to have his dream come true, be an NFL quarterback, and he says he wants to be one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game. But he also said that he cannot fail. He won't allow himself to fail. And he also knows that his relationship with God and his communication with God, when he speaks to him, he reveals things to him. If you haven't heard ShedeurSanders speak, open your ears. All that have an ear to hear, God speaks to us all. Even through the wind, that silent voice, God speaks to us all. But we got to have a tentative ear to hear, y'all. We got to have it. We got to have it. I'm so happy for this young man and for all you ShedeurSanders supporters and for you non-supporters. My ask is to drop your comments. Good, bad, or indifferent. Speak your mind. Put W12 in the chat. They say there's no such thing as a moral victory, but even in our losses, we win because there's always a lesson to be learned, y'all. There's always a lesson to be learned. There were some other takes, but I don't want to get into that. I'm going to leave y'all with that last thought. I want to thank you all for supporting Premier Sports Talk and being a blessing to the channel. And remember, what the enemy means to harm us, for God's chosen, he always turns it around for the greater good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope you enjoy this episode. The latest scoop up in Cleveland on what's going on with ShedeurSanders. And there's at least one media, well, there's two media persons that goes 10 toes down for ShedeurSanders and represents the CU aunties, the CU uncles, they want to call us Shedeur, the Shedeurians up there in Cleveland on the radio 92.3. We got G. Bush, Garrett Bush up there that's on and got his own. You need to tap in. He got a really hot show. You know, G. Bush, the barbershop. He's on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Also, you can tap in to that and watch him. And then we got Tony Rizzo of ESPN Cleveland. That also has his own show up there in Cleveland. Tony Rizzo show comes on at 8 o'clock in the morning, followed by the ESPN Cleveland at 9 o'clock. Tap in, because that's where I get 99% of my content, y'all. That's how I keep up with the latest and the greatest for what's going on with ShedeurSanders. Prayers are powerful, y'all. Prayers are powerful. Let's keep praying for not only ShedeurSanders, but his entire family, Sanders family, and keep them covered. And most of all, be a blessing to somebody else, because we never know when we may need a blessing in return. Arrows can't stop us when we trust and believe in God and lean not on our own understanding. I'm going to close.
Devils whisper cold, but I'm full of breath. Heart's a furnace, burning down to ash. Truth in my soul, life crumble and crash. They throw stones, but I go my steps. Turn hate to bricks, climb higher than rest. Flickering flames, but I'm a wildfire. Rising blazing, lifting spirits higher.
Arrows can't stop me, no they can't drop me. Stood firm, God's hands hold me softly. Haters will hate, but my go down my knees. My light shines eternal, no new day. Arrows can't.
May you receive a blessing, be a blessing to others, and I promise you, you will receive blessings back double-fold. See y'all when I see you. I'm Randy Prentice, Double P, host of Premier Sports Talk.